are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week. What did you face this week that was challenging to you?
Good morning, good morning. It is finally Friday, and we are talking about challenges that we face. If this is your first time with Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast, I assure you that you have embarked on something new. We're asking that this podcast finds you in the best of healthiest choices. As you already know, we talk about feelings, we talk about experiences, and we share what it's like to have gone through the experiences. Now, before we started this morning, I always get the opportunity to do a little research because I want it to be factual. And as you see or hear stories from Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast and Healing Center, here's what I want you to know about this. I want you to understand that you have the power to think about change. You have the power to think about choice. And you have the power to think about action. Did you hear the words? Choice, action. I want you to think of it in terms of looking at yourself and analyzing yourself. And this is what's good about Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. It gives you a full opportunity to be able to look at yourself, staring yourself right in the face, and to even have a better view of yourself. We ask that you look at yourself in the mirror. What are you seeing when it comes to your relationships? And today I got to view a video, and if you go to our Vibe Talk Facing the Lion page, you're going to be able to see the video. And after viewing this video, I have to share with you how I felt about it. No opinion, just how it made me feel. I'm not going to tell you about the video, but I will tell you this, that the video left me with questions. Here we have on our backboards, it's always the woman depicted, that she's being picked on and she's being picked on, and I can rightfully say this because I am woman. But did you guys know that males are actually being abused? I want you to see this video. Lines are open at 1-888-721-9260. You want to see the video? It's there for you. And I'd love for you to take a look at it. Give me your thoughts. Thoughts are different from opinions. And how so? Because sometimes our opinions are not factual, but our feelings are very raw and real. That's the part that I want from you all. So give it a try. It's a very powerful video, and if you would, please subscribe to our YouTube page. It's there. It's there, and I really want you guys to really think about challenging yourselves. What if you were in a situation and your situation looks abusive, toxic? Would you recognize it? Would you feel it? Would that be a raw feeling for you? We're going to look at that. How do you know if you're in an abusive or toxic relationship? And good morning, Trish. If you're here, good morning. We're waiting for you to come in. We're here and lines are open. We really want to hear from you. We have a little delay. Just one moment. How would you know? How would you know if your relationship was abusive or toxic? I want to give you a number, and I'm going to put it here. It's a uh, domestic National Domestic Violence Hotline. The number is 1-800-799. I'll make sure everybody gets that. 799-7233. And the reason we do that is because Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast is your resource connection. We are no doctors. I'm a certified life coach counselor, and we have a healing center. So we're not going to tell you. We're going to actually talk to you about it. How do you know? Let me just say this to you. As you look into your relationship or at your relationship, past or present, I'm going to ask you some questions. Did that or does your relationship involve physical, verbal relationship, or communication? Do you give more than you're getting, which makes you feel depleted or devalued? Are you constantly disrespected and your needs are not being met? If you are in that type of relationship, I ask that you take a moment and reflect this day. Because, we're quick to point out if others are in a toxic or abusive relationship. Why? Because it's in front of our face. And you know what we say? I wouldn't put up with that. Why is he or she tolerating that? I want you all to go, anytime that you're hearing this podcast for today on toxic and abusive relationships, go to our page on Facebook. Um, we're going to have Trish put it on our YouTube page, and let me know how you feel about what you're seeing. I felt some kind of way. Because oftentimes we always think that it's the women that are being abused, but we're wanting to really have where men talk about where they've been in abusive relationships. And by the way, look for my new audiobook coming out, Men and Their Emotions. Let's talk about that. Please, please, please go look at this video. It's worth you being able to really think about what's going on here. We don't tell you if you're in a toxic relationship or not. We just ask questions, and if you want to work on, that's what our workshops are all about. And it's a healing place for you at the Healing Center. Let's think about this. You're in a relationship, and you're going to do a self-reflection, because abuse is a wide range of things. It could be physical, mental, emotional, psychologically. Humiliation, are you being humiliated in front of others? Calling you insulting names such as stupid, disgusting, or worthless. And this involves our families too, because sometimes I say things to my kids, and I need to rethink it. I'll say that was stupid, or you're stupid. And I have to admit that. Just because I'm a parent doesn't mean that I get to do that. No matter what, no matter how angry I am. Are you getting angry in a way that frightens your children, your partners, your better half? Threatening. Is there someone or yourself that is threatening to hurt you or others, or people you care about? Because I've noticed in the news, and we're going to have a real raw talk. In the news, since we are challenging ourselves today, there has been accounts of where, let's say, it's a bad relationship. And we're going to say challenge, and it's so challenged that the two should not be together. And that's what you have to figure out. That they will kill their kids or kill the pet. We don't want to tell you when you are in a toxic relationship. All Vibe Talk does is help you to analyze and heal it from there. I want you to think about that. And so, what do we do? I want you to be able to access the number 1-800-799-7233, or even call us here to talk about it because your safety is important. When the abuser threatens to harm him or herself because they're upset with you, how about this one? If I don't have you, no one else will be able to. Let's be honest with ourselves. Thinking about how someone may be in control of you. They tell you what to wear, what to eat, what to say. And I'll tell you something. There was a movie, and I was so angry in this movie because the character was so smooth, so handsome, but away from people, he was horrible. His character. He was abusive psychologically, emotionally, physical. Do you recognize it? Or do you pass it off as he was just angry and he'll be just fine tomorrow? Jealousy is another thing. Jealousy in that you're so jealous that he or she constantly makes accusations that you're cheating when in fact you are not. There's one. When you're in conversation, acting as if they're not understanding the words coming out of your mouth, like you are lost in translation. You'll hear me say that word in private groups. Lost in translation is not understanding my words whenever you hear. Now, concerning people that you've been in or around and that you know or have traits, think about this. You're in a conversation and they try to make you feel stupid or refusing to listen to you, your thoughts, your opinions. Here we just want you to understand. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
How about this? When you bring up something, let alone bringing it up in front of people, but when you're in conversation and they question your memory, the way things went, they deny how it happened. You say, remember that? And they say, that's not what happened. And that's why we don't want you as families to do that when you come to Vibe Talk. We don't tolerate that because each and every person, whether you're family, whether you're a married couple domestically together, every person has a way that they remember. And they could be in the same household. We all have different feelings. We all have different perception of the way things happen. It doesn't necessarily make it incorrect. But yet, in an abusive relationship, sometimes the scenarios could be that they want to change it. Why do they want to change the way it happened and it not be your version and let them tell it the way it happened? You know what I call that? Your truth, their truth, his truth, her truth, but not the truth. You know that saying, there's two sides to every story? That's for real. And so if you are family and you want to do workouts with us at the workshop, don't do that to your family members. It's not okay. Everyone has a way that they see something. Please allow for that. Another thing, when you bring up something with the abuser, or even if you are the abuser, changing the subject, the other person, and they make you feel like you are unworthy, like you're devalued, like it doesn't matter. And boy, how many times have I seen that in my lifetime? Making you feel less important. What you say doesn't matter. And in fact, if you say it, no one's going to believe you. Have you, as the abuser, or the one getting abused, been in situations like that? We ask that you challenge yourself with these questions and having a real, honest reflection, assessing. Because it would be so easy to tell you what to do, how to do, but I don't live in your home. I don't live in your workplaces. I wasn't there when you were growing up. And I want to put a notation for anyone that is in the line of work that I'm in, counseling, life coaching. Be careful with this, because sometimes you can paint a picture from your perception, and we must be free of that. We must be more ready to listen and to hear. So here at Vibe Talk, we try to stay away from giving personal advice. We tell you to do your work, but it is guided. So when we think about abuse, right, we're talking about behavior. That's a big word. When you think about behavior, Trish, what do you think about when I say the word behavior to you? And it's for the audience too. There's a space for you to write in once you hear this. And please pass this podcast, share it with others. Trish, what do you think about the word behavior?
When I think about behavior, I think of either actions or character.
Yeah, yeah. So now, when we act toward others, you know, how many of us have pets at home?
I do.
Yeah. And those of you who are listening, sometimes the abuser, if you are the abuser, we're talking to you. We say pets are our family members. We have joy with them. We cry when things happen because you love them. Now, a person, if that is not yourself, okay, or the abuser, if that is you or someone else, maybe they're feeling a little threatened. by the emotional attachment that you have with that animal, with your pet. And so, how do they gain the power? Think about what we just said about the word behavior and the action. So, they try to control you. Maybe they're going to harm something that you have an emotional attachment to. And they can definitely act upon it, getting back at you. Because you were determined or you gained independence. And we want to talk about the behavior and how that challenges or not an abuser. An abuser always acts in a way of power and controlling something or someone. And when you take the first step of being determined to make better choices or the best choices, the abuser is losing control of you. And if you are the abuser, and you're going to hear me say this today, then that would be you feeling like you're losing control. So you punish. You punish as the abuser the person or even your children. So you want what is it that's happening here when you start to threaten the family pets? You are trying to force someone, some person, somebody to do what you want them to do, or whomever has done that to you. That's what they're trying to do. Here's another one that's hard for me to talk about, but nevertheless, here it is because I feel that it's important, ladies and gentlemen. We're real and raw with our feelings and emotions. There have been some abusers that will try to force children to harm a pet. Or even watching the abuser do it. I watched a movie one time, and I saw in the movie they kept showing these kittens, and the lady kept going back to her childhood. And they put these kittens in a plastic bag. When that lady was a little girl, she was very traumatized by that. You don't believe me? Believe me, I saw a lot of true life things. I've had people tell me things that will shake you to your very core. Think about that. Self-harming. When you want to do something to yourself. The abuser wants you to do something or wants something to be done. Self-harming, let's say you decide that you want to be healthy and you want to decide that that is not the best relationship for you. The abuser, if that is you, or you have had this experience, they want to use the love that you have for them to manipulate and control you. Are you guys following the action words? Because Trish described that so well. The act of someone's behavior. Oh, what do? They make threats. What can you do to protect yourself? Because aren't you valuable? Aren't you someone? Not just a name, not just another pretty or handsome face. The hardest thing to do is to talk about it. That's the hard part. However, the self-harming part that you may go through is finding it hard to set your boundaries. You are no longer the person that does whatever they say. You are now looking at preventative measures. You are now feeling determined. Because remember the words, you are somebody, you are someone. You get to that part, you start working on the healing from toxic and abusive relationship. The blame game is that in a toxic and abusive relationship, the abuser starts to put on your plate that you are responsible for their actions. In other words, I slapped him or her because they made me do that. Think about that. When we are in these type of situation, as you analyze yourself, think about these words. If you really love me, you'd stop me from killing myself, says the abuser. But that is manipulation that is involved with abuse. It affects your emotions and your mental health. How about people that isolate the one that they abuse? I've seen that happen. Start to isolate them. And they start to cut off emotional connection to you with others that you love, and possibly cutting off their own selves. Why do they cut off the relationships with others, such as family members, close friends? Because the only person that will be left is you, the abuser, or the one that is receiving abuse. What does that look like? since we're talking about challenging ourselves with this type of relationship and how we avoid it. Think about this. You want to go see mom or dad, your parents, and they start to make you feel guilty because all you want to do is see your parents, your siblings, and then they decide, uh-oh. Because you have to think about something. Why would they want to cut you off from the family that you were born into? They do this because they don't want anybody to know their character, just like the bed in the movies. Nobody knew that she was going through that. How about this one? Your partner, your better half, in quotations, has to question your every move. What are you doing? Where you're going? What time are you going to be back? Having constant contact with you. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing or a healthy thing? You be the judge of that as you analyze if you're in a toxic or an abusive relationship. Because when we think about it, there's going to be times that throughout the day we might talk to our husbands, our wives, whatever the case is. But there's only so many hours in the day. And everywhere you go, you run a time clock. Should your relationship look like that? You be the judge. How about this one? You have restricted, limited access to transportation so that you can't leave the house. Maybe one time, two times, depending on the situation. Maybe the car has to be fixed. But we are talking about you're not being able to get out of the house. You have limited access because you can't leave. Jealousy is rotten. But since it's an emotion, since it comes with experience, we must ask ourselves, why is that present within us? The abuser has to start looking at the root cause because there's always a root cause of why someone acts and behaves toxic. There's always a reason. So when we work it out, work on it, we begin to think about, why is that jealousy even there when it seems to be unfounded? Sometimes it comes like this. The abuser, the one that's being abused or causing abuse, will do this. When you're with your family or your friends, sometimes you're put in a position by the one being abused. Limiting contact, not seeing them so often. And you stop connecting with them because the abuser, if that is you, you become jealous. And because they don't want to put up with that feeling, they limit contact. What do you think about that? Asking permission to do something, is it wrong? Now, that's not necessarily wrong. But you were already raised by your mother and your father, so you don't need a parent. And sometimes when the relationship looks like, okay, they're trying to be my mother or my father, is that the healthiest thing for you? Because you're not a child. But now, if you give someone that power to treat you like that, then you must look at that and challenge to change. When we think about a behavior, the abuser intentionally wants to deny their behavior. And they turn it in such a way that you have to question, did it really happen? When you, in fact, know it really did happen. So what they do is gaslight you, or maybe you as an abuser, if that is you, you've done that. You try to twist your emotions, or your emotions and your words and your experiences are now used against you. So you question it. You start to judge. Did this really happen? I know I'm not crazy, but you feel like you're going insane because you know that it happened, and instead it gets twisted. Second guessing yourself, questioning yourself, um, having trouble making simple decisions. We're talking about in relationships. How about this one? Constantly apologizing to your partner. Every sentence sounds like this: I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Should we say I'm sorry? Yes, in the most healthiest ways. But if every sentence is beginning with you're sorry, you are now playing the blame game, because what are you sorry for? I've had a lot of people who do that. And I always wonder why they keep saying you're sorry when they weren't able to answer their phone, or they weren't able to um, do something at the moment.
I feel like
Does
that's
it
me.
always go ahead, Trish? I want you to do just what you're doing. Go ahead, tell us about that.
That's me. I apologize a lot for things like if I can't come to the phone or I didn't pick up, like I'm very anxious about that. And I've been in a relationship before where when I didn't do that, like we'll get into arguments and things like that. And it's just I have to remember, it's like a muscle memory for me to like automatically act like that. So I see that in me.
Yeah. Thank you for that honesty. When we think about our feelings and our emotions, we're just basically wanting you guys to evaluate your situation, because here's what we know: we always know someone who fits the criteria of being in a toxic and abusive relationship. So when you deny, how are you going to heal it? Start to look at things. That's the first step. We make excuses for the toxic behaviors of another, or even for ourselves, as we continue to act abusively or having an abuser act on us. When we start to lie about things, and that's the thing too, when you are in Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, it is very important that you are honest. I don't take judgment when people are talking about their relationships. I don't say, well, that's a bad person. I'm supposed to listen. That's why we do these self-evaluations. I have you write out. I have you tell me. And then as you look at what you've written, you are the one that are left with a choice. Is it toxic or is it not toxic? Feeling like you just can't do anything right and wondering if you're even good enough for the abuser. We want you to realize that there is a national hotline for domestic abuse. When you decide that it is abuse, this is our resource. If you need a resource, we're not going to tell you what to do. You have our line, which is always open to you before, during, and after you hear our podcast at any time. 1-888-721-9260. And our resource number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Those numbers are not to get you or the abuser in trouble. Those are safety numbers for you. If you want to be anonymous, you can be anonymous. You don't have to tell your name. What's important here is that we challenge ourselves to be better than we were the day before. I want you to ask yourself questions. What can I do if I'm being abused? Mentally, emotionally, psychologically. I want you to really think about that. What is emotional abuse? We just went over that. We went, after seeing that video, I'm wanting to talk about it because there were some things that I saw in the video that's posted that wasn't correct. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I encourage you all to watch that. And I hope that when you think about your relationship, is it toxic? If one or both of you in the relationship feels a constant need to compete with each other rather than support each other, that is toxic. Competition with someone that you love. But it's not unheard of. So I want you to think about it. I want you to know, how do you deal with it? What do you want out of that relationship. People go back, they make excuses. I heard that in the video for today. But you must decide for yourself what is toxic and what is not. Every relationship is not toxic. I want you to think about, why are you staying in that relationship? What is your reason? Write your reasons, actions. What is your reason? Why are you staying? We're not telling you to get out of it. We're just simply saying to challenge yourself to do better than you did yesterday. Here's a thought. Sometimes we are not actively aware that we are, or may be, or have been, an abuser or abusive. Think about your pattern. Think about what's influenced you. You know, a lot of people will say, my dad was this way, or my mother was this way. And that's all I've saw in my lifetime. Because something influences that. It's easy for me to say if it's abusive or if it's not, but then I want to see it from your perspective. When do you say, enough? Yes, enough. We're going to be right back. I promise you. Coming right back with Trisha's Treasures. We'll be right back.
Facing the lion is always, always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions, our challenges of the week, what did you face this week that was challenging to you?
We are back, and now it's time for Trisha's Treasures.
So during this podcast, I've been writing a lot of words down, keywords from here, because I think it's very important. So here's the list of words I wrote. I wrote quite a few. We will get through it, I promise. But the first word is honesty. That's the word that stuck out to me, because I feel like honesty is very important in identifying any situation that you're in or that you might be facing. It's a big part of reflection. Awareness, that's the next word. Being aware, um, knowing what you're going through, understanding yourself, knowing that basically what situation you are in. And behavior, we've said that word a lot today. Behavior. Control. This word can be taken both ways in this situation. Whether it's your choice, that's another word I put. It's your choice whether to be controlled or take control of your mind and your mindset and how you feel in certain situations and how you will handle it and how you will deal with it. Boundaries. It's important to have those boundaries. I'm still working on boundaries, but I see how important it is to have boundaries. It gives me my sense of self. And the next word I have speak/talk, communication, like speaking up, sharing your story. We do a lot of that here in Vibe Talk. It's an interactive podcast, so I know it's hard to speak up sometimes. And listening, that's another word. Listening is key as well. Listening to other people's stories because you guys have given me, and hearing stories of people's relationships, you guys have given me courage to speak up and to talk and to communicate how I feel. The next three words is responsibility, prevention, and wellness. These three words is key to me in this situation because responsibility is taking ownership of what am I going to do? What do I decide to do? What's my choice? Prevention, meaning stop, or the same thing as boundaries, like stopping something from happening or getting worse or getting to a point where you're confused or there's no way out. And have relationship, restriction, and I have in all caps the you, which is very important because this situation, the main point of the situation is you, what you have been through, and what you see yourself in at this moment. And the last few words I have is change, questioning, choice, influence, power, pattern, and why, and access. Those are the last few words I have. So those are the key words that I thought that were important to me and when I was reflecting on my past relationships and what I want for myself in the future and whatever I went through in the past, it made me reflect on these words and I thought, you know what? I wish I thought of this then and then then I would have been had more boundaries and tuned into myself more, have more access to um my emotional mental health, the emotional part of me. And to wrap this up, I would like to say when you hear this podcast, it's up to you whether to gather your key points and what you're going through, your signs and what you see that we've listed. Because it's not up to us to decide, as we said. It's not up to us to decide what kind of relationship you're in, what kind of relationship you had, and what relationship that you are interested in having. It's not up to us to decide those things. It is up to YOU in big capital letters.
You want more of Trisha's treasures? Go to our YouTube page and look at her segments and also find her music right there. We are back to wrap up, and I want to let you know that our song today is by Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name. So all of those abusers out there, I want you to think about something that Trish said about making that list, thinking about words and behaviors. You know, I don't think anyone wants to be abused. I don't think anybody likes that feeling. And if you do, there's a healing center for you. But I'm going to have to honestly say to you, no one wants to be in that situation. But we have to start with ourselves. Thank you, Trish, for saying that. And analyze the behaviors of ourselves and the behaviors toward us. Where is the root cause of it? I guarantee you, by sitting down with you, working on and working it out, that you'll find out why you're in the situation, because you don't need me to tell you why you're in the situation. But I guarantee your mind workout will help you to discover something about yourself. If you want to change it, you have to be willing to. We welcome your comments. We welcome you to come to the Healing Center. This weekend, we are starting something new. We'll be out in my area. Stop by wherever you see us. We are out. We will be accepting donations. We will be out with a few snacks, some cold drinks, and stop by, say hello, ask questions. You'll be able to ask a lot of questions and just see our booth. We're so excited. So check us out in my town. We're going to also film that so that you guys can have a look-see at what we're doing. And any and all monies that are donated to the Vibe Talk podcast and Healing Center is for strictly that. We will have the receipts. We will have the filming of what we're doing. You'll be able to see how the office has come along, and we welcome every donation helps. So we look forward to seeing you this week. And please, if it isn't us, don't do it, because there's a lot of scams out there, and we want our name to be held in the highest value because we work hard around here. I want to say thank you for joining this podcast on toxic and abusive relationships. Um, Trisha will put information. We do have a crises intervention hotline too. Uh, is it 899 or 988? Trisha, I always forget.
It's 988.
Okay. And we're going to put it right here. Okay. For support, 988. Thank you to my amazing co-host. Thank you to the amazing audience. Thank you to our cities, states, countries for pushing the button to listen to what we have to say. If it's you out there who's looking for a place safe to come to, no matter where you live, there's always, and I mean always, a way to schedule an appointment, whether we do it virtually or by walk-in. We have that available to you. If you see this video, let's talk about what took place and how it made you feel. It's so important that we do this. Let's challenge ourselves, and that's what we do on Fridays. And if you're missing this video and you're not with us live, you can go straight to our YouTube page or our page on Facebook, and you'll be able to see this podcast, and it will be streaming just as soon as we're done. Thanks, everybody, and I wish you more healing from toxic and abusive relationships. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, safe weekend. Don't forget, we are 9 p.m. Los Angeles time for Vibe Talk After Dark. And this week, it's all about the 80s. I think I'm going to like that one too. So join me right here. Be safe, everybody.